So before we start the video, y'all tell me in y'all states, how much on average are y'all paying for gas? Is it two, three, four, $5, $6? Y'all in the comments, tell me how much are y'all paying? And also, who do y'all think is responsible for the high gas prices? Is it Biden? Is it somebody else that's in power? Like, y'all tell me, who do y'all think is responsible for it at the end of the day? Because somebody's going to answer for it regardless. But without further ado, Fox News seems to, seems to think that Biden is the problem. So let's get into it.
Here with reaction, founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, Steve Moore, and co-host of The Bottom Line, Sean Duffy. I was just on The Bottom Line on Fox Business with Sean earlier. Great show. And Stephen, I get your newsletter every day, and it is the must read, the perspectives, the insight. It's great. Let's start with that, because Biden is doing his tour about how great Bidenomics has been. They're admitting that the Inflation Reduction Act was a climate bill. It was the Green New Deal is what it was. And what we saw was mortgages increasing, rent increasing, food inflation.
Especially food.
The energy costs, it's not going to be summer forever. We're heading into winter. The gas prices, the staples that allow people to live their lives in a manner that they want to freely have all been chopped off at the knees. Tell me your perspective on exactly what's happening.
I'm going to tell you right now, the way gas prices are set up right now, ain't no more night rides, ain't no more car meets, ain't no just going to a different state. Nah, you only driving your car when you need to, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so the gas price is one of the kind of best indication of how Americans are feeling about the economy, because we all fill up our tank, every week or every couple of weeks. And so just to give an indication of how much worse things are, Tammy, than when Trump was president, $2.39 a gallon when Trump left president, Tammy.
Man, I remember them days.
$3.89 a gallon. And in many states, by the way, it's $4 a gallon or more. I just filled up in Virginia, paid $4.39 a gallon. So you're basically paying $20 more every time you fill up your gas tank. Thanks to Biden's policies. Let's not forget, you and Sean both remember this. The first policy that Joe Biden put in place when he got into the White House was to kill pipelines. This has been a war on American energy, and it's one of the reasons we've seen this high inflation. And I just want to make one other point.
How y'all feel about the whole pipeline situation? Do you think that was a good thing, bad thing? Like, y'all tell me.
If I may, Tammy, because you made a really important point earlier on the show, and I want to echo this. People say, oh, Trump can't win. He can't win. The polls are showing he can't win. If you ask people, do you approve of Trump personally, a lot of people say no. But Tammy, if you ask people, do you like Donald Trump's policies, the way he handled the economy, the way he handled the border, the way he handled energy policy, the way he deregulated and cut taxes, people say overwhelmingly, yes, I like those policies. And that's why I think Trump is going to trump Biden when it comes to these economic issues.
Yeah, and that's key, I think, Sean, is that we know, again, with all of our polls, the economy is number one for obvious reasons. Nothing else matters. If you're poor, if you have no money, if you can't predict the next week of what's going to be on the table. We know I think with inflation, it's about $700 more a month for Americans to just live their lives.
What?
Sean, do you see the nature of what Americans are facing with crime and everything else, that the economy is the thing that matters? So you've got a big family. You know what it costs to raise a family.
So two things happen. One, Steve mentioned gas prices. We do that every other day or every third day, but it's also prices that we pay in the grocery store. That's up 20%. By the way, I think that number is really low. When I shop for my 9 kids, I feel like it's up 50%. So when we're spending money on a daily basis, we see prices that have gone up so much. And then,
I know his food bill got to be
crazy. You had the Inflation Reduction Act, you had chips, infrastructure, COVID relief. Most Americans haven't seen any benefit from all of the money that Joe Biden has spent, over $5 trillion, and they look at their own lives and they're worse off. So yeah, Tammy, I think Joe Biden is being blamed by the American voter. And if I was Joe Biden, I would say, listen, the economy is not going well for me. 80% of Americans think that the economy is going in the wrong direction. Why don't I blame COVID? Why don't I blame Donald Trump for the economy?
Right.
He hasn't done that. He's leaning in and saying, Bidenomics is working. Don't believe your lying eyes. You're doing great, America, and I'm to blame. This is the most insane political strategy that any consultant ever came up with, because it's not going to work. The American people aren't going to buy it because they're paying every day with dollars they don't have for Joe Biden's economy.
You know, it's the madness. And just very briefly, Steve, we know that Biden promised the victims of the Maui fire $700 on this within the same week, $200 million more going to Ukraine. So Americans are wondering, what is our priority financially about where we do spend large amounts of money?
This is one of the biggest scandals. I'm so glad you're covering this, Tammy. The Wall Street Journal reported yesterday.
That's one thing I never understood. I never understood how we could give like large sums of money to other countries, different regions across the world, and our own people are struggling. Like I never could understand that. $1 billion here, 800 million here, 200 million. I'm like, bro, that would do a lot just here. Like, come on.
Yesterday on the front page that the liberal Democrats spent more money on a climate change policy in Hawaii than forest fire mitigation.
Exactly.
The forest fires in Hawaii and the people who died was not a result of climate change. It was a result of climate change fanaticism that is misspending our public dollars.
Yeah, they were focused on the new energy, the renewable energies. And one argument is that the electric company then ignored their infrastructure repairs. That's why there has to be an investigation to determine if that is true.
They begged for the money. They were begging for the money because they knew a forest fire was, quite a real possibility, and they did nothing because they were concerned about, how are we going to do solar power and wind power and things like that.
Wow.
This is an epidemic of craziness.
It is
in terms of their environmental policy.
Gentlemen, clearly more investigation.
And one benefit off this.
Go ahead, Sean.
One benefit, Tammy, is that the media started off by saying this is global warming and we have to do all these radical additional policies. And now we are seeing, to Steve's point and your point, that this was actually a failure of government.
If that's the case,
the power companies weren't actually clearing out the underbrush under their lines, and they weren't using water to put out fires.
That's right.
Somebody
it was
going
a
to jail.
Government policy problem, not climate change.
Yeah, in a way, it was climate fanaticism that caused this because of the decisions that were made. All right. So, gentlemen, thank you. More to come.
And that's pretty much the end of the video. But you guys in the comments, you guys tell me who's responsible for the high gas prices. Is it Biden? Is it some other form of power? Like, who do y'all think is responsible for the high gas prices?